Hey, what's up, family? Just wrapped up week 11, Facing Adversity for the Devotional Journal Book Club. Want to provide a recap for you guys. This one right here is going to be a great topic. So, just talking about facing adversity. We all know that adversity is something that's going to happen in life, regardless of who you are, where you're from. It's going to happen, whether small or big. Adversity is going to hit everybody. So in those moments, what do we do when we facing adversity? And one of the core things that we talked about that's important for all of us on our spiritual walk, on our journey with God, is having that relationship with Him. When we have a relationship with God, we're able to overcome adversity because of that relationship. Because of the relationship that we have with Him is intimate, we understand what He has done for us in the past. When we came in face to face with adversity, in adverse moments, we know that He has brought us through it, right? So when we have that understanding, we understand that anything that we see that comes in the future, we're confident in knowing that He's going to come through because He's faithful. One of the things that we talked about on the call was what are God's attributes? What is His character? We talked about, Him being loving, being caring, being understanding, graceful, merciful, all of these things. And the reason why we talked about this, as I shared with the group, is that it's important for us to understand God's character, because in those moments when we're facing adversity, to understand, like, sometimes it can feel like we're alone when we're going through those moments, right? But if we say that He is loving, He's caring, He's understanding, He's merciful, and all these things, boom, 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 we know that He's not leaving us. He's not going to leave us nor forsake us. He's not going to leave us in a place where we're not better on the back end. Like, once we get through it, it's an experience, the things that we have to go through, because He wants to challenge us. As we talked about last week, there's obstacles that God puts in our life that allows us to grow. Because sometimes we can hinder ourselves by just being in our own comfort zone, doing what we do from a day to day, not wanting to challenge it ourselves. So He like, hold on, let me put these couple things in your life to make sure that you understand, like, don't get complacent. Don't think that you are the one that's making everything go together. You're not the orchestrator. That God is the author. We are a part of the story. We're not the main character. God is the main character, and He's orchestrating and putting this all together. And when we have that understanding through our relationship with Him, that allows us to be confident when in the face of adversity, because we know and understand that regardless of what comes in our way, that He's going to be there to support us. And that's the beautiful thing that I love, talking about those attributes as it relates to God. Some of the things that we talked about with Him being loving, like, understand that God is love. So He loves us in a way that no one else will love us, which again is the example that we have to be able to provide to other people, right? So we know that because of His love is something that we will never experience here on earth, that we know, like, whatever it is I'm going through, He's feeling the same pain. If I'm crying, He's crying. Because we have to know and understand, if you are a parent or if you become a parent, when your kids cry, you cry. You don't want to see your kids cry regardless. Even if they did something wrong, you still love them and want them to know, like, everything is going to be all right. And God is the same way for us. The other attribute that we talked about is that God is understanding. God knows everything about us. Like, there's some things that we tell people and some things that we don't. We just hold to ourselves, and it's only intimate enough for God and us know about those things. But God still understands the decisions that we made. He might not agree with them, but He can say, I understand. And that's the beautiful thing about having a God who understood, who put Himself in human form to come down as Jesus and say, hey, I've experienced every temptation, everything that you're going to go through, because that allows Him to understand the things that we're going through on a day-to-day basis while walking earth. And so that's the beautiful thing about it, having a God that's understanding. And then merciful and graceful. These are all, again, attributes and character of God that He could take our life away like that by us just being disobedient, putting other things before God. He can take that away. He has the right. He's a righteous judge. So He has all power in His hand to say, like, no, you putting that before me? Oh yeah, you done. But He doesn't do that. You know what I mean? And that's, again, going back to His love and His character that He has, but then also providing grace. He knows that we're going to make mistakes. He already knows the end of our story. He knows it. He knows before we were in the womb, before we were put together. He knows all that stuff, right? So with Him knowing that and knowing that we're going to make mistakes, like, He like, oh, okay, I see next week you're going to make this dumb mistake, but I still love you. Like, that's love. That's grace right there. And that's just understanding that He knows that we're here to grow. And the only way that He's going to allow us to be able to do those things is if we have consistent, intimate relationship with God. So Again, just making sure that we're praying, making sure that we're fasting, spending fellowship with other like-minded individuals to come together to have these type of discussions so we can be better as people of God. And so the other thing that we talked about as well that I want to share is that there's two type of people when in the face of adversity. So when adversity strikes, there's either people who are going to say, you know what, I got to go get a mentality. I'm going to overcome this through the relationship that I have with God. Or we have the individuals who will quit. And you know what? And they say, you know what? At the first sign of resistance, this is not something I'm going to go after. It's not something I'm going to do because I don't want to be challenged. I don't want to be pushed outside of my comfort zone. But don't miss that blessing by taking the second route of, quitting or just saying, you know what, I'm not going to do this or just going away, right? Because that's an opportunity for you to see God even more in your life because it says in the Bible, where we are weak, God is strong. So if we understand that God is strong or we're weak, that means that we have to be able to take those leaps of faith. The reason why it's called leap of faith, because we have to be able to take that leap standing solidly on our relationship with God. Knowing that, hey, I don't know how this is going to work, but I trust God. This my man, he going to take care of me. I trust God. I know that the situations I've been through in my past, he always came through. I'm going to trust God. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Like, I just love talking about God because when you have seen God in your own life, your own testimony to say where you are today, and this knowing the abundance that he has provided and blessings in your life today, and understand like, it's only going to get better. That's beautiful. That's beautiful right there. So I just wanted to be able to share that with you guys and just understanding like we're all going to come into, adverse moments of life, but we have to remember the importance of having that intimate relationship with God. Through that intimate relationship with God, we'll understand that when we're being squeezed by life on all sides, if we have God inside of us, that's what's going to come out of us. But if we have things that are not of God, that's going to come outside of us. Rage, anger, envy, jealousy, all of these things. If we're feeding ourselves those things, that's not going to allow us to grow. But if we put the spirits or the fruit inside of us, those things are going to come outside of us. If we're reading the word, if we're fasting, we're constantly being in fellowship with like-minded people who are chasing God, then we know that the good things are going to come outside of us. But we can't expect God to come outside of us when we're in adverse moments if we don't spend any time with God. We can't expect that. So that's the encouragement I want to share. You get into your word, read it, get closer to God, take on the challenge to get a better understanding of God, and then not only read it, but be a doer of the word as well. So I hope that y'all enjoyed this recap for this week. Like I said, recap week 11, facing adversity. If you haven't already, make sure that you go get your journal, man. I will put it in the description. And if you feel like you want to join, just send me an email at info@littlebrotherinspires.com. Get you joined onto the call, all free once you get your book, and we chop it up from there. So to God be the glory. You guys have a great week. Peace.